Hey guys, this is my fourth time recording this, so I know what to expect. It's a story about pain, so I'll let you enjoy the game as it was more than likely intended. I got this as a humble bundle gift for Earthquake Relief. I'll have some links in the description below. Let's get to it.
Welcome. Are you sitting comfortably? Are you focused and not thinking about whatever's bothering you these days? I'm not here to test you. Please relax. Let your thoughts come and go and listen as they fade away in the distance. For better or for worse, this is where your life has brought you. Looking at a screen, listening to me. Imagine, for a moment, that you've just had a child. It's healthy, but unfortunately also completely blind. For their whole life, they will live in the dark and not see a thing. Their perception of reality is something that you might never be able to comprehend. How would you describe the world to them? What can't be touched or heard, smelled or tasted? How would you describe sunlight? By what it does? Or how it feels on their skin? I think I'd play them this piece of music. First composed by Tchaikovsky in 1878, these rays of light have traveled through decade after decade, finally reaching your ears this very moment. You have also traveled far to get here today, but you're only passing through and should probably get going. While you're here,
I'd like to tell you a story. It all happened to me when I was young, walking
in a forest much like you are. Those were days filled with boundaries and rules, of no running in the hallways, don't do this or that or the other.
With my world full of fierce discipline, I walked the forest to breathe. One day, deep in the woods, I found a funny-looking tree,
Crooked, old, and wrinkly. With little work, a few bits of bark
became huge ships. Calm creeks turned to ferocious oceans.
I can still recall the people I imagined dragged downstream with a sense of guilt.
As I gazed back upon the old tree, I noticed something peculiar.
It was crying. Every crumple,
like eyes closed tightly.
clear drops streaming silently down its wrinkly skin. So I did, as children do, tasted it.
Not because it looked tasty, but
To figure out what it was.
the
The first drop made my tongue tingle.
the second
Made it prickle.
and the very moment the third landed on my tongue.
A profound sensation spread through my
chest. Undefinable, like thirst, both vague and specific. One thing was clear.
Something was changing within me.
I remember breathing in and out, feeling the fire.
one day,
I woke to a slight prickle in my fingertips.
I studied them closely, discovering circular ridges in a foreign landscape of my skin.
The prickling soon slipped my attention. It would be another week until it returned.
A wave of gentle needles moving over my skin. A limb falling asleep, perhaps? I did not start worrying until it returned the third time. First making its way up my neck, before engulfing my skull completely from behind. I could even feel the tiny needles
covering my eyeballs. But did it not stop there?
I held my breath as the small thorns crawled around my lips.
before spreading into my lungs and stomach.
My awareness spread with it, and I remember the strange sensation
Of my mushy dinner in there, as if I held its remains in the palm
Of my hand.
Suddenly, my body took control and opened my mouth. An explosion of air rushing into my lungs. The tingling spread with it
through an endless web of veins.
Soon reaching my beating heart. For a moment, I stood in awe of the activity.
Within my body,
I felt my heart
beating
beating.
faster, and my skin sweating. Your body is your only vessel in this world. And when it misbehaves,
The claustrophobia is total. Seek help, I thought.
and at that very moment, the tingling needles shot from my brain down to my spine.
I felt them scatter through my upper leg. My muscles contracted to lift my knee. My body weight shifted forward, and a shock wave spread from the foot sole.
as it landed softly on the ground.
The process repeated itself in greater details for every step. I was overwhelmed, but my body kept moving.
I did not at all feel like the boss, giving directions.
It all happened automatically.
And I was simply along for the ride.
Like you.
The doctor's office was cold and white.
Crossing the floor felt like a polar expedition.
My parents,
Distant features of the landscape. I wanted to explain,
but was unable.
My lips and tongue engaged in an intricate choreography.
myself and the audience observing the words performed.
My lips muttered, "I'm sure it will pass," while my thoughts were crying for help.
conversation kept going, but I stopped paying attention. Instead, I was following the hands of the clock.
Mounted on the doctor's wall.
They were both speeding up.
And slowing down.
I was slipping further and further away. A levitating camera in a video game, merging with the code it was running on.
Again with the binary, with electronic circuit and so on. I closed my eyes and let my sensations lead me.
First, I spent some time with my bones.
Among
The
the
many functions,
I
I
got
got lost in their continuous breathing.
An uninterrupted flow of calcium absorbed and released.
Even my skeleton was alive and living.
In and of itself.
I could feel my mind
Clinging to the known, to the clattering thoughts,
The buzzing of memories
and fears of the future. But for each breath,
tension was released and my shoulders sunk.
comfortably. It certainly felt like I was in there, somewhere
behind my face, but I was nowhere to be found.
And the more I looked, the more hazy I became.
when my eyelids eventually opened. They felt as slow as sunrise. Photons
Converted to
Signals shooting along the optic nerve, each carrying a piece of information into the darkness. The brain categorized motion,
Color, edges, distance. I sat for moments in the dusk, watching the sunrise.
when the world eventually lit up.
I was no longer wondering why matter lights up from the inside.
My experience had changed from the fire
To the light it emits.
But it would get much stranger still. I started daydreaming.
Or so I thought. It began as a shimmering field, creeping slowly in from the
periphery of my vision. The hands of the clock.
Still moving, but among them vague shapes.
Slowly but surely,
I saw trees flowing past me, and among them, myself.
Sitting right there in the doctor's office with a vacant expression.
While walking around myself, I was surprised to still see the clock.
Straight ahead.
Myself from the side.
The clock on the wall. The two images were not overlapping. They just
Existed. Like imagining a familiar place with your eyes closed. You see both
nothing and something at the same time.
I turned to look towards myself, but saw only the face of the doctor.
Lingering somewhere between confusion and concern.
And annoyance. However, when I studied his face closer, I was struck by terror.
The image of myself
Had turned to look straight
Into my own eyes.
I felt my own hand reach out towards myself.
The weight of my hand landing softly on my own shoulder.
Eyes distant, looking at the doctor,
Looking at myself, rules and boundaries disappearing.
the fire was spreading.
a delicate wave of nostalgia washing over me, intimate recollections of past sorrow.
Relationships, education, and even medical experience.
And at last, I was no longer alone.
Not in the sense that
The doctor was there in the room, but rather that we were together.
In the darkness of my mind,
Vast numbers of sensations were still flowing, but now with two observers to share the burden.
Somewhere,
Out of sight, a hand picked me up. And as I kept breathing, the fire kept spreading.
soon, it swallowed my parents, sitting in their chairs, doubting my story.
I felt contradicting opinions and ideas coexist, but not in conflict. Different notes in harmonious chords, shading unbalanced.
Indivisible whole.
more clouds spread into my vision.
And more sensations through my body. The music
Was evolving.
I let out my hand. 5 fingers
against the surface, felt no different than 5
Bodies or minds. Branches becoming aware that they were connected to the same trunk.
all along.
Their experience my own, all of them present in my mind. The prickling kept spreading.
each needle on my skin, another presence in my mind. More and more observers sharing the burden. A vast number of sensations flowing.
My world, like musical sunlight, just passing through.
Every individual going about their business. Strangers on the street
Unaware
that they were all each other, their surroundings, and me.
I knew and felt them all as I knew and felt myself.
and I could no longer feel contempt, or that anyone was somehow less deserving. There was no longer me and you, no us versus them. It was all just me.
As I kept breathing in and out,
Each new breath pushed me along
a ubiquitous landscape that was simply too beautiful to ignore.
What lay past each tree and
beyond
beyond
every hill was another idea I knew to be true.
Mountains, transient shadows of matter.
Flowing through time, slowly from one point of view.
But for the mountain itself, oh boy.
It's in a hurry, like everyone else.
Both the whirlpool and the stream. An expression of energy floating through empty space.
All experiences merging to one.
There I was, all of us, you, me, I. The light
That shines through the film. All else
Is smoke and mirrors. As with all stories, this one also ends. Not because this story has an ending,
But because it keeps moving, leaving us behind. My body kept living
like yours will, with surfaces preserving its illusion of separateness. This screen,
our very own eyes.
I couldn't tell if I ascended or dissolved. I'm soaring through space,
but unable to move,
nevertheless.
And as I turn in orbit,
The
Boundary
boundary
between light and dark keeps moving. A cascading wave of thoughts,
arriving at dawn,
just to slip away at dusk.
a violent competition on a speck of dust suspended in nothing. An energy field fumbling in the dark,
trying to describe myself. I want to be safe, well-fed, not too warm
or cold, to be acknowledged by my closest.
So even though you are another part of me looking back, you will always be a stranger, a lump
of resources
for my exploitation. The branches cut, our hemispheres separated once again.
rocks, skipping along the surface, never sinking in.
The inconsistent dash of beauty between the noise, picked up by a stranger with good intentions, and with it
Sentenced to die. I don't care who you are.
or how you found me. But we are both reaching in.
A few lonely rays venturing through space
In just the right direction.
absorbed in our leaves, stored as sweet sugars, and exhaled as crisp and clean oxygen.
And while
the light warms our skin, or while we wait for the next sunrise,
we breathe in and out. All that matters is that you are here, right now. And for a moment, we are together. You and me,
As one,
like we always are. And we always will be.
Alright guys, if you actually made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I hope the ending joke made it worth it, and I hope you understood this better than I did, because I don't entirely see the entire point of the multiple voices and the kind of the story that was going on. When I first played it through the first few times, I thought it was about birth, thought it was about death, which clearly it was. Maybe it was about deforestation. All those voices are the spirits of the trees in some sort of way to make us feel empathy and how these trees feel during deforestation. But, you know, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are. Anyways, that's it for me. Bye.